Before we begin, imagine walking into a stranger's mansion and seeing your mother's photo hanging proudly on the wall, framed in gold, surrounded by luxury, and guarded like a secret. What would you do? What if that stranger was a billionaire who looked at that same photo with tears in his eyes? Stick around till the end, because what this girl discovered changed both their lives forever. Speech Balloon, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Stories like this one will make you feel something real. It was a cold autumn morning in Seattle. Rain whispered against the car windows as Amara, a 19-year-old university student, sat quietly beside her best friend, Liam. They had just finished their part-time shift at a local cafe when Liam mentioned something strange. "You know that billionaire who owns the new estate on the hill?" he said, eyes gleaming. "They're hiring part-time event assistants for the charity gala tonight. Easy money, like $200. Amara hesitated. "You mean Charles Wentworth? The guy who built half the city?" "Yeah," Liam replied, smirking. "Come on, what's the worst that could happen?" She sighed, agreeing reluctantly. Her family had been struggling ever since her mother, Angela, passed away 6 years ago. Every extra dollar mattered. That evening, Amara arrived at the Wentworth mansion. It was massive. Marble pillars, chandeliers, and art that screamed old money. She tightened her ponytail and stepped inside, her badge marked assistant server. The ballroom was filled with Seattle's elite. Polished suits, diamond necklaces, and laughter that echoed like glass. As Amara helped serve champagne, her eyes caught something across the room, a large portrait hanging above the grand staircase. She froze. It was a photo of her mother, Angela, smiling in a summer dress, the same gentle expression Amara saw every day on her bedside frame. But here, her mother's picture was framed in gold, surrounded by roses, as if she had been someone important. Her heart pounded. She stumbled toward the painting. "No way," she whispered. "Mom, excuse me," came a deep voice behind her. "You're not supposed to be near that section." Amara turned and came face to face with Charles Wentworth himself. The man was in his late 50s, silver hair slicked back, eyes piercing but tired. "Sir, I'm sorry," she stammered. "But who's this woman in the photo?" Wentworth's gaze hardened. "That's none of your concern." Amara's breath hitched. "It is my concern, because that's my mother." The billionaire blinked, and for the first time, his confident demeanor shattered. His glass slipped from his hand, crashing onto the marble. Guests turned to look. "What did you just say?" he whispered, almost trembling. "That's my mother, Angela Okuro," Amara said, her voice steady now. "She passed away when I was 13. Why do you have her photo in your home?" Wentworth's face turned pale. His lips parted, but no words came out. Then, almost robotically, he gestured to his security guard. "Take her to the study." "Wait, what?" Liam cried, stepping forward. "It's fine, Liam," Amara said quietly. "I want to know the truth." Inside the study, the fire crackled softly as Wentworth sat opposite Amara, staring at her like she was a ghost. "She told me she never had children," he murmured finally. Amara frowned. "You knew my mom?" "Knew her." He gave a bitter laugh. She was everything." He stood, walking to a bookshelf, pulling out a dusty photo album. Inside were old pictures, Angela as a young woman, smiling beside Wentworth in Europe, in gardens, at parties. "My God," Amara whispered. "You were together." "She was the love of my life," Wentworth said softly. "We met before I built my first company. She was my anchor. But one day she left. No note, no wudbye. I tried to find her for years." His voice cracked. "Now you're telling me she died?" Tears welled in Amara's eyes. "She never told me about you. She raised me alone. We struggled. She cleaned offices, worked double shifts." Wentworth's face twisted in pain. "She hid me from you." He leaned forward, whispering, "Tell me, who was your father?" Amara swallowed hard. "She said he left before I was born." Wentworth froze, eyes wide with realization. He slowly turned toward her, his hands trembling. "Angela left me right after we. He stopped, unable to finish. Amara blinked. "After what?" Wentworth's voice broke. "After we found out she was pregnant." The room fell silent except for the ticking of the clock. Amara's breath hitched. "You're saying you're my father?" Wentworth nodded slowly, tears spilling down his cheeks. "I didn't know, Amara. I swear I didn't." Her world tilted. The billionaire, the man she'd only seen on TV, was claiming to be her father. "You could have changed everything," she said bitterly. "Mom and I lived in shelters sometimes. And you were here, in your palace." "I didn't know," he whispered, his voice breaking. "If I had known, I would have moved heaven and earth to find you both." Amara turned away, trembling with anger and grief. "You can't fix it now." "I could try," he said desperately. "Please let me." She shook her head. "You don't get to buy forgiveness." Wentworth fell silent. For the first time in years, the billionaire, used to controlling everything, was powerless. Amara stood. "I came here for a job, not for this." She turned toward the door, but his voice stopped her. "Amara," he said softly, "your mother's last words to me were, 'If love means setting him free, then I'll let him live without the truth.'" Maybe she thought she was protecting us both. Amara hesitated, tears welling again. Then she broke both our hearts. As she walked out of the mansion, the portrait of her mother seemed to watch her, smiling gently, as if whispering that the truth, though painful, had finally found its way home. The mansion doors closed behind Amara with a heavy thud that echoed in her chest. The cold night air hit her face, mixing with the warmth of tears she didn't realize were falling. Liam rushed up. "Amara, what happened in there?" She wiped her cheeks. "He said he's my father." Liam's jaw dropped. "The Charles Wentworth? The billionaire?" Amara nodded weakly. "He had pictures of my mom from before I was born." "It's him, Liam. It has to be." They stood there in silence as the rain began to fall harder, the sky crying along with her. The next morning, Amara found herself unable to sleep. Every memory of her mother replayed in her head. Angela's gentle laugh, the lullabies, the warnings about men who only love when it's easy. But one image wouldn't leave her mind, that gold-framed photo in the mansion. Why had her mother's face been displayed like a shrine? When she got home to her tiny apartment, she pulled out the old wooden box where her mother had kept personal things. Inside were letters, photos, and one sealed envelope she had never dared to open. It was addressed to Charles Wentworth. Amara froze. Her mother had written to him, but the letter had never been sent. With trembling hands, she opened it. "My dearest Charles, if you are reading this, it means I couldn't tell you myself. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I found out something that would destroy you. Our child is your legacy, but your world would never accept her. A black girl in a family of white power and business empires. I saw what your board said about me. I heard what your father threatened. I couldn't let our child be born into that kind of hatred. So I left to protect her. Forgive me, Angela." Amara's heart cracked wide open. She sank to the floor, clutching the letter to her chest. "You were protecting me, Mom." She realized then. Her mother had sacrificed love, comfort, and a future to shield her from a cruel world. After hours of staring at that letter, Amara knew she had to return to the mansion. Not to forgive him, not yet, but to give him the truth. When she arrived, the security guard looked startled. "Miss, the boss has been expecting you." Expecting her? She entered the study again. This time, the air felt different, quieter, almost reverent. Charles sat by the window, holding an old photo of Angela. His eyes were red, his posture weary. "I didn't sleep," he said softly. "I spent the night thinking of every choice I made that drove her away." Amara placed the letter on the desk. "She left this for you." He hesitated, then unfolded it carefully. As he read, his hands began to shake. Tears streamed silently down his face. "God," he whispered. "She didn't leave because she stopped loving me." "No," Amara said gently. "She left because she did love you." He turned toward her, voice breaking. "All these years, I thought she vanished because I wasn't enough. I built this empire trying to fill that hole." Amara's tone softened. "And now you found out you had a daughter living 3 bus rides away, working double shifts to survive." Charles smiled weakly through tears. "I failed her and you." Amara crossed her arms, steadying her voice. Maybe it's not too late to make something right. He nodded slowly, determination flickering in his eyes. You're right. It's not. A few days later, Charles invited her to a small ceremony at the Wentworth Foundation headquarters. She thought it was just another charity event until he stepped onto the stage, microphone in hand. Tonight, he began, we're launching a new scholarship program in memory of a woman who taught me what real courage looks like, Angela Okoro. The crowd clapped politely, not knowing the story behind that name. Charles continued, his voice trembling. This scholarship will support young women from underprivileged backgrounds, especially those who dream but lack the means to chase it. He looked at Amara in the audience. Because sometimes the strongest people in the world are the ones no one notices until it's too late. Amara's eyes filled with tears. She had come expecting guilt money, but instead, he was turning their pain into purpose. After the speech, he approached her quietly. I'm not asking you to call me Dad, he said. I just want to know you, to be part of your world, if you'll let me. Amara looked at him for a long time. You can start by being honest. No secrets, no walls. He nodded. Deal. Over the next few months, Charles made good on his word. He visited Amara's university, funded the community cafe where she worked, and met the friends who'd become her family. But most importantly, he listened. He didn't try to replace her mother. Instead, he honored her memory in every way he could. One evening, as they sat by the lakeside near his mansion, Amara said quietly, she used to bring me here. We couldn't afford tickets to the fancy gardens, so she said the lake was our paradise. Charles smiled softly. She used to say that too. Amara took a deep breath. I don't hate you anymore, but I still don't know if I can forgive you completely. He nodded. Then I'll wait, as long as it takes. A year later, the Angela Okoro Scholarship had helped dozens of young women across the state. Amara stood on stage as the keynote speaker, no longer the frightened girl who walked into that mansion, but a confident young woman who'd learned to embrace truth and healing. Forgiveness, she told the audience, isn't about forgetting what broke you. It's about deciding that pain won't own you anymore. Charles sat in the front row, proud but humbled, a man who had gained everything money could buy, but almost lost what mattered most. When the ceremony ended, Amara walked to him and whispered, You did good, Dad. He froze, then smiled through tears. Sometimes it takes losing everything to discover what love really means. Claquete, outro, reflexion. What would you have done if you were Amara? Could you forgive the man who abandoned your mother, even unknowingly? Life often hides its answers behind heartbreak, but when truth comes out, healing begins. Speech Balloon, tell us in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who believes that family is more than blood. It's forgiveness.